I am running for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States because, my friends, it is time for a change.
Not only is President Biden an octogenarian, most of the public doesn't think he should run for a second term, and the polls suggest that if he does, he may lose to Donald Trump next year. And yet Mr. Biden has been running for the Democratic nomination all but unopposed. Until now.
He was the right man in the last election, but that's not what the numbers are saying now. There is an exhausted majority in America that wants neither of these candidates.
Hats off to the 54-year-old Minnesota congressman for daring to tell Democratic voters the hard political truth that bigger party names continue to duck.
80's the new 40, didn't you hear?
3 years ago, Mr. Biden suggested he was a stopgap, not a permanent fixture.
I view myself as a bridge, not as anything else. There's an entire generation of leaders you saw stand behind me.
Now the next part to make it official is $1,000. That's the filing fee.
I brought small coins.
The whispering to the press by other Democrats is that Mr. Phillips's campaign is a vanity project or midlife crisis, but one only has to look at the polls. Democrats' rating of Biden slips. Overall approval at 37%. His presidential low, Gallup said October 26. While a poll by Bloomberg and Morning Consult have Mr. Biden trailing Donald Trump.
We're looking at Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Georgia.
Yes, a lot can happen in the space of a year, and Mr. Trump has manifest flaws and could be a convicted felon by November of next year. But most Democrats know and say privately that they're playing with fire by nominating Mr. Biden again, especially with a vice president that's so unpopular. For months, no serious Democrat had the temerity to take on Mr. Biden, possibly for fear of weakening him.
Could this only weaken Biden for the general election and unwittingly help Trump in the general?
Absolutely not. The only people that would say that are people that have something else to protect.
Mr. Phillips won his House seat in 2018, flipping a suburban Minneapolis district that was once a Republican stronghold. His views are mostly centre-left, and his voting record has supported Mr. Biden's agenda. That said, during his running announcement, he sounded a little more to the right on the border.
Chaos at our border and in our cities is growing, while our commitment to countering it is receding.
While sounding more to the left on defense spending.
We spend billions and billions sending our soldiers to foreign lands, and still, we have not fixed the failures in Flint.
Mr. Phillips isn't likely to win the nomination, but his candidacy will be a proxy for the Democratic desire for more choices. That could include California's Governor Gavin Newsom, who's just had a week-long goodwill tour of China, in large part promoting climate cooperation.
What I hear around the globe is, well, you're not a reliable partner in America. What happens if Trump gets back into office in a couple years? What happens if Biden loses? We can't rely on you. I want you to know you can rely on California.
Next year's first official primary is scheduled to take place in South Carolina after the Democratic Party tweaked its nominating schedule to give Mr. Biden an edge. And because New Hampshire hasn't complied with its demotion, Mr. Biden's campaign says he won't be appearing on the ballot there. Nevertheless, if Dean Phillips can build momentum in the Granite State, there's still a chance of making the Democratic primary interesting in a way that could help the party in November 2024. And if not, at least he, unlike others, had the guts to try.
I am the Democratic candidate who can win the 2024 election.